dad passed away, and my son found out they were having a child, and I'd already been at the county for 33 years. Like I said, I'm gonna retire. So, but it's been a long 4 years, because it's like, he passed away. Okay, this past 4 years has been exhausting.
I can't remember. She also said one of the brothers said
Larry.
basically the same thing. He's like, I think she was hunting and you were somewhere, and he's like, are you guys back yet? Like, what's going on?
In fact, at the funeral, he spoke and he said, I think the worst day of my life so far has been when Jan says I'm going out of town, and then Leanne says I'm going hunting, and he's like, I was like, no, I don't know what to do with this. And he's like, I'm really sorry, but he'd call and he's like, okay, you said white pill. Which one? The big one, the little one? I'm like, she doesn't take these. Yeah. You know what? Hopefully she is in a better place, because it was. Less than 24 hours. Well, she had fallen and broken her collarbone. But then she was still doing okay. Then they gave her morphine. And morphine is like crack for her. She was like jittery, and she couldn't sit still, and then she fell out of bed, and I'm like picking her up. Well, then that hurts the collarbone. Well, then that day she fell again, and then she fell and sliced her head open, and I'm like, anybody got any hydrogen peroxide? We got a huge stain of red blood. And yeah. Thank you. That's really nice of you. Thank you so much. This is black.
Nice chair. Nice chair.
Hi. Good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm sure. You gotta put speed limit sign. I was gonna say, were you just?
I'm sure. Just off there by.
You know where that is?
Yeah.
Okay, but do you know where his grandparents used to live?
Yeah.
Okay, right across the street from their house.
Okay.
I think my iPad is gonna die.
I was gonna be late, but I may have just in time.
Is that behind me?
I thought I was going to be late too.
Got the crowd here. Your parents are here. Here. This is it? Mom and Dad here for the first one.
Oh, hell, I didn't. I totally.
Or for the last one.
I bet you. Can you tell me what?
This has been a good one.
No. Do you think you've been back? Yeah, see? Sorry.
All right, everybody. Everybody can take their positions. Driver. 6:30 and it's time to start the city council meeting.
Rachel,
I say, don't give them to me yet.
I know.
For Plain City on the 4th day of December. Welcome everybody that's here. We will start off with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Panunzio and a prayer moment of silence by Councilman Jenkins. Everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our dear kind Father in heaven, we are indeed grateful for this beautiful community, Plain City. We're thankful for the citizens, we're thankful for the Plain City staff, and we're thankful for where we live and our neighbors. And we'd ask that thou would help us to have thy spirit with us tonight, that we can make the best decisions for the direction where Plain City will go in the future. We love thee, Father, and we say these things in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you both. Thank you to whoever it was that left a pair of glasses somewhere that actually worked for me. So I left mine home tonight. Found them in the lost and found. So we need to approve the minutes from November 17th meeting.
Unless anybody has any other comments, I did not see anything that needs to be rectified, so
One thing,
oh, go ahead.
I just want to clarify, and we probably can't change it because I know I said it, but the clarification on my last statement there on the Weininger property discussion, I said I had some concerns with 2200 north and the traffic. It was actually 2500 north.
Is this just for the 17th, or are we doing both right now?
Oh, and the 20th, yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So that was it, just the clarification there.
Instead of 2,200 to 2,500?
Yep. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
Both roads will be impacted, but 2500 will.
So November 20th was just us,
Seven-
Canvass the
canvassing
election.
The 17th?
The 17th.
or the I thought it was the 20th.
No,
Anyway, one of them
Got
was.
it cleaned up.
I don't remember dates, that was long ago. All right, how about a motion then?
All right, I move to approve the minutes from both, November 17th, 2025, and November 20th, is that correct?
Yeah.
2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, public comments. Does anybody wish to come up and address the council? Anything that's pertinent?
There's no public hearing for anything else, so if you have comments on anything.
My name's Debbie Allred. I live on 3288 West, 2600 North. I am aware of Weber County and Plain City's perspective of what they want to do with these unincorporated islands. However, please understand that it is just a recommendation. Plain City can have their own perspective and take into recommendations and listen to the people and make the best decision possible. All of the sections being recommended to be annexed have their own valid reasons for not wanting to be annexed into Plain City. Tonight, I'm addressing the 8 homes on 2600 North. We were told that there is no benefit for us or Plain City if we're annexed, so why? Weber County and Plain City are trying to eliminate overlapping services, but with 2600 North being on a state road, UDOT is responsible for snow plowing, and as far as fire, EMT, and police services, those services have been handled by Weber County, and we appreciate and would like to continue with their services. If we want sidewalks, which is definitely a safety issue, we'd have to go through UDOT. If annexed into Plain City would have to work with UDOT to meet their specifications since it's a state road. I am aware that Weber County made a good faith verbal agreement that they would improve 2200 North to the basic standards, and Weber County has already made some improvements to the road and acquired property to accommodate future improvements. This verbal agreement was never shared to the residents on 2600 North during a meeting with Mayor Beasley when it was asked what deal had been made. In my opinion, once Weber County began making improvements to 2200 North, and they were clear that they will not finish the project until it's certain the annex would take place, Plain City's hands were tied, and Plain City decided to lump all the unincorporated islands together. I'm asking the council not to look at this map, but to look at the faces of the people who come before you and stood at this podium asking Plain City to leave 2600 North unincorporated, or if nothing else, table this decision for a later date. I believe there are some unresolved issues or issues that have not been discussed or resolved with the residents, especially the residents on the south side of 2600 North regarding mandatory sewer hookups. I also learned the interlocal agreement that was just a draft at the last meeting has now been approved and signed by the County Commission and has since been reviewed by Mayor Beasley and legal counsel. I'm assuming the City Council has also reviewed their agreement. Tonight, I'm asking the council to please consider making a minor change to the agreement, which can be done by eliminating the 8 homes on 2600 North. By making this minor change, the process can continue without starting all over. Weber County would have to review and approve this change, but I see no reason why they would deny us. Thank you.
Anyone else? Is there anybody on Zoom? All right, seeing none, we will move on. How about a report from the Planning Commission? Mr. Skeen,
They were too busy having turkey.
looks like it's your assignment.
That is, it is my assignment. So the last meeting, there was a couple of us that were gone out of town. I was one of them. But I did watch the meeting. I have had conversations to get updated and make sure I'm relaying correct information to you tonight. There's a few items on the agenda as well that we've talked about in depth in prior meetings. So the first one, and probably the biggest thing we have going right now, was the public hearing for the overlay with public amenities on the Weiniger property out west. We held a public hearing on that. We've kind of had 2 of them, but they're kind of a 2-in-1 just because a little bit of misunderstanding with how each of them worked. The first one that we had a while back, which you may be aware of, was for the rezone of that property from agricultural to 18.5. So we had a public hearing then, which we heard similar comments in, and then we had the public hearing for the overlay was the most recent one. Typical concerns that we had down there was people liked the rezone to the 18.5. They didn't have a problem with that. A lot of the residents down there, they weren't huge fans of the overlay initially. During the public hearing, they were worried about the houses by the city dump and a little bit with the park that was proposed to go on that north end with the 17 acres they're proposing to give to the city. With the overlay and then increased traffic and things of that nature that'll be going down 2200 North. So those were some of the main comments in that public hearing. After all was said and done, there was some in-depth discussion on that property as far as what the motion would entail with the overlay. So the basic concept of that proposed subdivision down there is to do an overlay. The overlay would give the city 17 acres over against the landfill and the sewer ponds on that far north side. So it would kind of create a buffer zone there. I don't think necessarily, as far as the commission goes, the intent for receiving that 17 acres would be to put a big playground and a park down there necessarily, but maybe more of a buffer zone from those, from the landfill and the sewer ponds and stuff like that for future building to not be able to take place around that. Which would benefit future citizens and people, I think, a little bit down in that area.
Question on that?
Yeah.
Did we ask them about water shares for that?
That would be transferred with that? No, I don't believe so.
I think we probably ought to request that as well.
I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident in saying I don't think water shares was talked about for that, so, yeah, okay.
We're gonna need some of that if we ever decide to do anything down there.
Okay, so, I'm gonna skip ahead just for 2 seconds, but they did recommend approval on that, so it's coming to you guys, so. That's probably something you're gonna wanna make note of.
Didn't it come at our last council and we had issues because of
The zoning.
Yeah, the zoning.
What was that?
it did come to at the last council and there was issues with the zoning. The Marriott?
Marriott.
Marriott.
Yeah, the Marriott
Not
property.
recently then, like years ago?
No,
No,
last
like last
council.
weeks
Oh, last
ago.
council meeting?
At our last council, you guys had Thanksgiving in between our
Oh, yeah, we did
meeting
cancel our
and-
last one, yep. Okay,
So we had issues with what got sent to us.
There was a chunk of the Marriott property that was included in that.
That wasn't
but
rezoned,
But that needs to be rezoned with it.
because it's still in agriculture.
yeah, you're right, there is a little piece there, that little parcel, yeah, okay, okay. So we probably haven't seen it yet since it came to you guys, so we're gonna be updated on that, yeah, okay. So I'll make note of that, so I make sure we don't miss that. Okay, okay, I'm up to date now. Okay, so are you pretty familiar with all this information then? Okay, so I'm just kinda repeating stuff you already know, cause they
That's
came
all
to-
right.
Good.
No, it's
Sounded
Okay.
really good.
Doesn't hurt to refresh.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. And then, and so you were aware with so if they, the citizens' concerns on that was so that if we didn't do the overlay and they were able to develop the additional 17 acres, then that would leave you with roughly 200 lots. So in the overlay, we're getting 151 max. So taking the land trade, you still get, instead of 200 lots, if they develop the entire piece without an overlay and without us getting 17 acres, it's down to 151. So it does reduce rooftops significantly doing that. And then you're aware of the 90-foot frontage stipulation we had on that? There was nothing wrong with that? Okay. So you're pretty much okay with everything, I guess, except for the water shares is what I need to take back to the
Well,
commission.
yeah.
And the rezoning.
And the rezone on the Marriott? Yeah, okay. All right.
And I mentioned the improvements on 2,500 as well. But
Okay.
About the improvements.
wanna
And I
make-
know we're all concerned about traffic.
So I guess my report tonight's probably, I'll go through it. And, because some of this stuff obviously didn't come to you guys, but if it's stuff that you are aware of from your city council meeting, since we didn't have ours, then let me know. You can just tell me, hey, move on to the next topic.
Pressure.
We all know you don't like listening to me, so thanks for that. Okay, so that was it on the Weiniger piece. The other thing that we had was, just to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, the second thing was we set a public hearing for a conditional use permit for Kelly's Cove. Are you familiar with that? Okay. You're familiar with the development and everything that's going on there, so we're just kind of going through the motions here. So the next thing is the conditional use permit. We'll hold the meeting for that on the 11th of December.
That senior living, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what's proposed there, yeah. It's kind of a duplex style senior living. It kind of goes in and has like a dead-end road that has a little turnaround deal there. So it's kind of it's a unique piece of property.
Is
That they're
Kelly's Cove the one with the power lines?
No.
No.
Okay.
This one is down 2,200 right before right as you drop the hill.
Oh, is that the one where you were mentioning there's a lot of senior overlays and not so sure about how many do we need and that specific location?
Mm-hmm. They have received quite a bit of feedback as, kind of, that it may not be a great fit, but, they're obviously entitled to the process and.
And we can discuss it?
Later.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll go through our stuff, and then we'll offer our recommendation. But just so you guys know, the public hearing for that's coming up on the 11th of December, so. Moving on from that, we approved a site plan for the O'Reilly's Auto Parts up here on 2600 North. You may be probably familiar with that, okay. And then we did a site plan for Everbloom Studio that's gonna go over here by the old Royaley's building. They've proposed that, so we approved a site plan for that. We had a discussion and motion on a 2-lot subdivision out on 3900 West and 3056 North. That's just called,
That's Anderson's, right?
yeah, yep. So if you're familiar with that one, I think it's JTA subdivision or something. It's Jed and Terry Anderson's subdivision over there. It's a 2-lot.
Right on the corner there.
Right as you go over where the railroad tracks used to be.
Yep, that's it, yep. So we did talk about, that. They did motion to approve that. So there were some address discrepancies there, so they motioned to approve it with those changes being made, so. And then, any questions on that one? No, pretty cut and dry, that's pretty cut and dry.
We went through that rezone up here, so.
Yeah, okay. Then the last thing was, we just had a discussion on the Plain City Springs
That was it.
subdivision. So there was no motion on that. They're just kind of preliminary, kind of running some things by us on that one. I think that one's zoned at 18.5. They're wanting to do some RE15 in there. Feedback they got on that one was probably needs to stick closer to the 18.5. Their concerns, I guess, wanting to rezone to 15, and part of that was the power line corridor. So create some space for that. So that was just a discussion, so they were just kind of getting a feel for where the commission was at on that.
But it wouldn't have added any other houses, from what I remember.
No.
What's that?
It won't add any other houses or lots.
It was just.
No, the
swapping-
the housetops, the rooftops would stay the
Yeah.
same.
Right.
It was just swapping where the higher density and low density was, right?
Yeah, just kind of flip-flopping, just a little in there to reorganize it a little bit, so. Yeah, I mean, the 15 to 18.5, the lot sizes change a little bit, but all of the setbacks and frontage standards are all the same. So, yeah, that was just a discussion, so we gave them some feedback on that and what the process would look like to do that, so.
I
that
like
was
how
it.
they were looking out for the residents on that one. That was really cool.
Yeah, there is. That's kind of a unique piece too. It's kind of a little different the way that's set up, so. Yep, that's it. That's my report. Any questions, comments?
Just curious if you guys have it on your agenda to work on the residential use of like a firing range? I know I brought that up last month. To where we make it a conditional use in ag area,
Yes,
where it passed in commercial,
yes, it passed in commercial.
but we didn't encompass the residential as well.
I know that was brought up, that you had proposed that. I haven't seen it on the agenda yet as an agenda item. But I'm gonna make note of that and I'll bring that up.
Okay.
I'd like to have that option explored, so.
Always say no.
Right,
Right.
okay. So, just so I make sure I get specifically what you're requesting, you're looking at it in the residential zone?
In ag,
Just in ag,
just in ag areas.
okay. Okay. Anything else?
Residential ag, same thing, right?
It's similar, yeah, kind of, yeah,
We don't want it in our teens.
yeah. Yeah, so that would be, because ag zones, you can do the houses, but it's like minimum 30,000 square foot lots, bigger lots and stuff, so. Yep, okay,
Anything else for him?
That's it.
Okay.
perfect.
Reported.
All right, well, thank you.
Good job, man.
Especially
Sorry,
for
I was
not being
repeating a
there.
little bit of that, but.
No, thank you.
Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving.
All right, Wasatch Civil Report on 3600. Let's go.
As you know, I'm Jory Wallen, work for Wasatch Civil. We've been working on this project for a while now, and we're all anxious to keep it moving. Just want to give an update, identify a couple of the potential roadblocks that we think we have a plan forward on, but just want to be able to address them. Last we met, we were here in March and talking about this and how this would be a 2026 construction project instead of 2025. At the time, we had some preliminary engineering or some intermediate engineering estimates on the project that was done by the engineering team, the design team of Consor and ESI, and we'd identified there was a little bit of a shortfall in the funding, but we'd been talking with Weber County and with WFRC to say, okay, how do we address this? The direction that we had been given at the time was to say, hey, let's get a little further down, make sure that we understand what the final cost is going to be, or a better estimate of that, and then we can go there. So in October, we went back to WFRC and asked for an additional $1 million. That was a shortcoming, and they approved that so that this project has the funds to be completed. And with the help of WACOG, which is Brooke from Weber County, and Ben from WFRC, like, they were very gracious in helping us walk through that process and making sure that we could secure those funds. And that was a big win for the city. So as we move forward, where we're looking at is getting this to be advertised, sending that to be advertised to UDOT at the end of January. There was some discussions about trying to get that into December. The reality of the way that UDOT works is if we had to have that in by the end of November to have anything done in December, they stop kind of reviewing these plans in December. And so our plan is to get that into them the beginning of January, so that we can have one last review with them and then have it advertised between February and March, with the contractor coming on board in April and construction starting the end of April, beginning of May. The anticipation of construction on that would be, the estimated time of that is 120 days, but in order to provide the most favorable bid results, which we recognize that cost is a challenge on this, and that we want to make sure we get favorable bid results. There will be a range of about 90 to 150 days that they can do that work. Giving that flexibility allows the contractor to come in and provide a schedule that can be more cost effective for them. That could tighten up a little bit in the next next month, but that's kind of where that stands right now. I think we anticipate that this will be built beginning in May, will be done in 2026, with a September completion date. The real drop dead date is paving window, which is October. And so that's the end of October is really the drop dead date that we need to have this done by a contractor. We feel confident that this is moving and that it will happen. I think we've addressed a lot of the major concerns. Plans are there. There's a few minor tweaks that are being made that are not going to delay that. The one potential roadblock is right-of-way, and that's always been kind of one of the challenges. And so just kind of wanted to give you an update on what that stands. So when we originally came to this, there was 9 parcels that were added to that right-of-way acquisition, kind of a formal right-of-way acquisition process. 5 of those have been completed. The acquisition has been done. I know the mayor's been involved with the acquisition agent probably more than you want to, but has spent a lot of time there. There's 4 remaining. We feel like they've made good faith effort on those 4 and are working with them and working through some of the negotiations to make sure those are moving forward. As part of that federal process, they've hired Shannon Wixom that does those negotiations and works with these property owners, and she is actively talking to all of these owners. A couple just kind of identify. The one that has not had any response is from Kent's. There is a contingency action there. This was for those pedestrian ramps. UDOT's big push on this is they said you need to make every best effort to make sure that you can do those. But they're saying if we don't get a response from there, we can pull those out of the project. And so there is a backup plan on those, which is fascinating. We spend money to go get an agent, appraisals, all this fun stuff, but there is a way to pull that out at the last minute. And so that's the kind of the contingency plan there. I know Wilson's have been presented with an offer recently that went on the 24th. They're still talking there and working on meeting there. Marriott's, they've had an offer sent to them that R&K Properties on 1975. They have responded. It's kind of been quite a last month or so. I know there's been some things going on with that family, but they're working on that. And then David and Carol Howells, Shannon's supposed to meet with them tomorrow to finalize those documents and get those signed. So I think there is action moving forward. For us, the timeline in order to make this work is, if those were signed tomorrow, that would all be great, everything, all 4 of those. But we really need to make sure that those are completed before we submit for advertising in the end of January. There's a little bit of processing time. We can't necessarily grab those on January 30th and say like, yep, we're good, let's move forward, but probably middle of January is kind of that drop dead date. We feel like that action is being taken. Shannon's actively working towards these, and there will be, as always with any of this acquisition, there will be some discussions. I'm sure the mayor, other council members, we've been roped into a lot of these to just provide clarity, to explain what's happening and how we can help with that. One other one that needs to be brought up is one that was outside of that formal acquisition process was the Skeen subdivision. That was one where they didn't install the curb gutter and sidewalk as part of that development, knowing that this project was going to come in. And so they withheld that. But in order to install that curb gutter and sidewalk on this project, especially the sidewalk, they needed to provide a temporary construction easement. And so we have been working with them and those 5 property owners to get a temporary construction easement. There's been some concerns about the design, about the elevation and how that tied into those driveways. We've been talking to them, talking about opportunities to mitigate that. As of right now, that is not going to hold this project up going up to advertising. And what we've done is we've included that into the work to be done. That sidewalk, those tie-ins to those driveways. But the backup plan on that is if for some reason we don't get those temporary construction easements, we're gonna have to pull the sidewalk out in front of those 5 properties. And that's not desirable, but we don't want that to be the reason that this whole project stalls. And so that's kind of where we're moving with it. We are still actively talking with them, working with them. We think we have some plans moving forward. We don't have signed temporary construction easements yet, but we are working towards that. I think in general, we feel like the contingency plan is a good plan to say, hey, we can move forward with this and we can get this project done. The fear is for us is if for some reason some of these things don't go through, the window is tight in the sense that if we push this back a month or 2 months to advertise, it seems silly, but it becomes difficult to get this built in 2026. And so we're trying to continue to push that forward. But at the same time, we recognize that there are some challenges. We feel like we're on schedule. I think the design team, UDOT, is optimistic that this is moving in the right direction. Trying to think if from our end, we do think that it would be unlikely for us to go get any more funding from WFRC. We feel like they've been very generous in providing that $1 million. We feel like watching other comparable cities asking for similar funding, they have not been as fortunate and have had to delay those projects, which then adds more money. In this case, if this project were to delay a year, with inflation, it just really does increase the cost and probably becomes difficult for us to then have the funds to do the project. So I think that addresses most of our major things, but I'm happy to take any questions, which I anticipate there will be some questions. Happy to walk through any of that as needed.
Yeah, that's a good update.
So
I just to clarify a few things. The critical path is 4 properties or 3?
So there are 4 properties. So the 3, so that's the Wilsons, and it's the Marriotts, and then the Skeens, those 3. But there's also that 4th one that's supposed to sign tomorrow, so which we feel like it will happen.
But the Skeen and the Kent's property, we can start the roadway
Yeah,
project.
for sure, we can. The one on 1975 would be difficult. That would be a little bit hard to build that without that right away. Partially because one of the main reasons of doing this was to get pedestrians all the way along that side. And in order to do that, you have to probably pull out the sidewalk. But we want to get the school kids all the way to the west side of 3600. So it kind of stops right there at the, just east of 1975 on the south side of the road.
school crossing.
Yeah. So we would move that all the way down to 3600, so they're crossing there. Yeah. So.
Well, there's a lot of concerned citizens on that road, including my family, and I hope we can come up with a resolution because I've had a lot of comments, a lot of pressure there. I'm assuming the rest of you heard. We had a few people that were running for council that apparently had heard a lot of things because they said it in the candidate night too. So
I would
hope
say
we can get it done.
From our perspective, the residents, with the exception of Kent's, who the agent has not been able to try different contacts, haven't gotten a hold of them, all the others have been engaged in the process to say, hey, let's find a solution to get this done. There's been, obviously back and forth, but I think that this group has been engaged. I think Shannon Wixom, taking the lead as the acquisition agent, has been very proactive, reaching out. And even the Marriotts had responded favorably to say, yeah, we understand this, had some questions, we want to look through it, and we just need to keep following up. And
Well, and it only helps Sam, because it's gonna give them curb and gutter, so for them, it's a good thing. But
Any other questions? Oh, we appreciate the support. We know it's been a long time coming, but we're feeling optimistic, which is a good feeling as opposed to it feels like it's been dragging for a while. So thank you. We appreciate your support.
yeah, thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to approve the interlocal agreement with Weaver County regarding road improvements on 2200. Has everybody read through this? There's a couple things. Sean, do you want to come up, please? There's a few things. Are these comments, Brandon, are these from the county's attorney or from you? Like this little red bubble here.
I believe that's from me for the city council review. We do have a final version that was sent out through an update.
Oh, that was in the
In an email.
It was in
packet?
Yep, that's a clean copy.
It was in a new email.
All right.
So the copy being presented for approval today does not have any comments from myself or the county's attorney.
I don't think there was too much.
No, as far as any changes that were made in the proposed draft,
The ones that we talked about.
that's correct. We just took out some more clerical items, as well as properties that are not related to this annexation.
All right. Sean, I do have one thing that wasn't in the improvements.
Okay.
We're gonna go back when we first started and was discussing this. Got a phone call earlier to remind me of this, so I appreciate that phone call. But we had talked about putting some 2x2 drain boxes on the north side of the road.
Okay.
Those residents were concerned that, with the road and the runoff, it already pools in their yards. And so we talked about running some laterals off of the storm drain to the north side of the road. Do you remember us talking about those?
Personally, I don't. I can talk to Gary. My only concern is we didn't purchase property on the north side of the road. We purchased property on the south side. So if it's within the right-of-way, then that's something we can look at.
Okay.
If it's not, that's probably not going to fly with the county commission.
Okay.
But let me go back, talk to Gary, and let's see.
Come up for just 1 sec real fast. She's the one that called me today. Just come up real fast. But I think your right-of-way sets back far enough anyway, right? Yes. Okay. And I think it was you and there was one other, at least one other, that was requesting some kind of drainage, wasn't there? Do you remember?
What's the
Can you
address?
step into the microphone,
Go up
please?
to the mic real
It's
fast.
our property and then the one just to the east of us.
So
What's the
there was one-
address?
It's a new house.
Yeah,
No, what's your address? Sorry, I can't.
it's 3224 west, 2200 north, and then the other one is 3212 west, 2200 north.
Yeah, so your mom, one of your mothers.
Yeah.
And you guys live right.
She's she's the one on the east side.
the one on the-
Yeah.
So anyway, it is in the right of way, because that's why they built that house back further, was so they had that extra space from the road.
Okay.
So, and Dan and I talked about this prior to the meeting tonight as well. So anyway, that's one thing that we need to hopefully add in there as a little addition.
Will you send us language? How many boxes, where they're located? We'll need to know that so that it can be specified in the agreement.
Okay. Do you need exact locations?
I do. Yeah, I want addresses in the agreement.
All right. I'll do some legwork.
Okay.
Dan? By me,
I mean Dan.
Okay.
we'll work on that and get you something.
Okay.
The other thing on 2200 is, with that, I would recommend we put an exhibit in there to describe some of these things. Some of it's pretty cut and dry. If we do a 22-foot road section with the city standards, all of that's pretty much spelled out in our standards, but there's also some comments or some language in here that's less than a sentence that talks about storm drain ditches. I'm sure Dan understands what we're talking about, and the mayor. We don't. I'd like to see an exhibit attached to this agreement to show some of that, and maybe with what the mayor's talking about, we can just add it all in one big exhibit. As far as 22 goes, I don't know if, where's Dan at?
He's behind.
Is there anything else? Just make sure we add the exhibit with everything we want, is all I ask, because there's one sentence in here.
Would show the drains.
Right, so it'd include what you're referring to, plus some of this other storm drain that it says piping and drainage ditch, paving.
So the piping has already been done. So do you, I mean, what would you like on this exhibit? Do you want the work that's already been done or the work that still needs to be done?
I'd say still needs to be done, but,
Stuff that still needs to be done.
Okay.
So, we can,
I was under the impression there was still some more ditch to be enclosed, is there not?
Yeah.
no.
With those improvements.
I have no idea what you guys discussed.
Not at this time. And then we had one more property for acquisition. So,
So we'll take on the acquisition side of that and be reimbursed by the county for that.
so can we move,
Associated with the,
is there moving forward without taking care of the acquisition?
no.
Okay.
The work can't be done until
No,
all
the
the
acquisition is
right-of-ways.
completed.
Yeah, that is an important note that the council needs to be aware of if you haven't read through this, is there is one more property remaining that sounds like it's going into eminent domain, and the city will be taking on that process.
And then getting reimbursed for it.
Correct. There's a percentage on the, I think it was 75% of the value of 200% or something like that.
If it exceeds 200%, then we can get reimbursed.
Right,
Correct.
right.
If the county looks at it and says, holy cow, that's ridiculous, they can bring in a
Right,
professional.
which I don't blame them for doing that. It's,
Sean, do you know if the county has plans already for the contracted work to be completed as far as the drainage and the curbing goes? Are there any drawn-up plans?
We don't have drawn-up plans, but we can certainly put together an exhibit.
Okay, I
I'll
think
have
that's
Dan
kind of
go
what we're
out
looking at.
And draw a map up for you.
That would be great.
And I don't think we need to have Gary
no, we don't need,
elevations, we just need to have a visual of, okay, where are we gonna put these catch basins on that north side and where we tie into, so they'll just be catch basins with laterals to the drain ditch piping and.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want on that drawing? Do you need our engineers to do anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think if the council's good with just a paper showing that the catch basins go
Those are gonna
here,
go in there.
that it's gonna be a 22-foot wide asphalt, and then the drain ditches are completed, I think that'll be fine. I don't think it needs to be some engineered drawing.
no.
Okay.
No, the interlocal agreement does reference the parcels on section 1, 2, and 3, but we had discussed that we could exempt those 8 properties. I call it a triangle, but it's the 8 properties. So would we have to change the interlocal agreement to exclude those 8 properties that I call a triangle, but it's a little bit more than
Right.
just a triangle? Would we have to change the interlocal agreement if we wanted to exclude those 8 properties and include them next year when we're annexing those 3 properties that got excluded this go around? And we were annexing those 3, and we included that triangle, then would we have to change this interlocal agreement?
Yes, some of the language would change because it references the resolution that was approved by the county commission.
Okay, but that wouldn't
And with
start
that
the whole
attached,
process.
if it's going to change, if Plain City's going to make a different decision, then we'll look at what we need to amend in this agreement to to make sure that it matches.
But it wouldn't start the whole annexation process again?
No.
If we're changing the recommended area for annexation, then the county would have to pass a new resolution.
Is that right?
The code only allows for the city to follow the recommendation.
Oh, okay, okay. So we would have to approve a new,
So approve as is, or,
correct, or
Send it
we
back.
go back, right?
okay.
And on those 3 properties in the interlocal agreement, the county would have to start that process again.
So
So it would be up to the city to start that process, right?
My understanding is we don't have to go through the entire process again. Now, maybe Brandon,
No,
you.
no, no, I just mean
No,
on the
no,
3.
for those
Just
three
those
that
three.
were left out.
Oh, yes, we would go through the process again for
Local
those.
agreement mentions those, but the county would have to start that process.
Correct, that is correct, yes.
Okay.
So. During comments, yeah. So,
No, the legal just said it was different.
What would be the benefit of
Just
waiting?
because they wanted that extra time and to chalk with the new mayor. So it was just to see if we could give them that extra little bit of time, even though it would be swept up in the next go-around of annexation.
Gotcha.
It would have given them that little bit of time that they requested. But according to our legal, it would start the process all over. I've talked to
So
Sean.
Let me,
that's what she.
That's what I
exactly-
asked.
Okay,
I just talked to the legal.
comment.
Ma'am, I'm
time's over,
sorry.
Sorry. We've had this discussion. We understand.
Mayor,
Exactly what we're talking about.
Are-
She's trying to say that if you guys.
No, I'm not. We
I
know.
know.
I know.
We know you don't.
I know you
Okay,
don't, but
we're moving on.
I know. I'm trying to exclude you in this go-around. And it's not,
And we can't do it.
we can't
without
do it.
starting the whole
We
process.
can't without starting the whole process
No,
over
we
again.
cannot.
so Debbie, I was just corrected this evening by Brandon Quinney, just recently, just
Just right.
2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So my understanding was that if the city decided to do something different, then that's what stood. City's resolution would stand. The county had a proposal, the city decided something different, and that's what went forward. Now Brandon is saying, if that is the case, the county does have to go back and pass a new resolution to mirror what the city is recommending. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the reason why the city, I mean, you have to look at the legislative structure here. The reason why the city is bound to the county's recommendation is because we don't have any protests. And so the reason why we're able to waive that protest for the city is because the county legislative body has made a specific finding that certain properties need.
Okay.
And so we are relying on the legislative decision of the current government over those properties. Now, if we're gonna make a different change, then we have to follow our own process against the county's recommendation, which brings us back to new public hearings.
Okay.
Protests that should be allowed. It essentially just kind of upsets the reason why we followed this.
Okay, all right.
I appreciate the legal clarification. Thank you.
Happy to clarify.
As part of this process, that is true.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, I got a question. This has to do with out north. I know that hunts were one time annexed into Plain City, and if you
Mitch?
look at it now, it's,
They never were.
Yeah, they never actually were.
they were annexed.
Oh.
Now they are de-annexed. So is that
Just told me wrong.
anything that you know of? Because when I started looking into the property out north, I noticed that the Hunt property was in Weber County, annexed into Plain City, then de-annexed out.
How long ago would that have been?
That would be a long time.
Mayor Jenkins.
I'm like,
14 years ago?
Yeah, that,
it was a
Before I
long
would've
time
been
ago,
involved.
but it happened and I was a little confused because I had never heard of that myself.
it can happen, but I don't know the circumstances with.
Okay, all right, I just thought that was weird, but that was, or could be, still an option. I don't know. Hunts did. But I didn't know if that was a thing or how they did it.
The only other questions I have is there's nothing in here for is it the Grove?
The Grove, yeah.
There's a lot of details there that, it sounds like that subdivision isn't completed yet, so there's still some civil work to be done, and there's also several building permits to be issued. There's a lot of questions around that for me. I don't know if Jed has any where you mentioned that, but there's impact fees I'd like to ask about, and then who's gonna maintain, or who's gonna continue on with the construction process as it relates to inspection, warranties, all of those things. Has that been sorted out? It's not in here.
Yeah, if that property is annexed, it will all go to Plain City. Plain City will take over maintenance of the roads, they will take over the building inspection process, all of that. They will collect impact fees as well. The city will collect the impact.
For just the remaining
For
six
the
properties.
remaining homes that have not been built.
Right, but, so I guess we're gonna take your guys' standards and we're gonna, cause it'd be us inspecting everything, cause there's still some civil work to be done.
On the houses.
So escrow,
Checking civil work for the roads and.
right,
drains and-
sidewalk,
Okay.
The civil work's done, it's just the inspection side of it, right? I'm sure there's gotta be some sidewalk poured in front of.
sidewalk, signs, some sewer.
Street.
Okay, yeah, so we do have escrow funds.
Right.
For those improvements, that would all be given to Plain City, but the city would take that over unless, as part of the interlocal agreement, we say that the county continues until it's built out. I mean, there's something like that that could be agreed to, but technically it would go to the city.
Brandon, can escrow funds
Be
be
transferred?
transferred? Can the escrow change from Weber County to Plain City as the holder?
For an ongoing development project?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's based on a development agreement and now the parties have changed from the county to the city, then yeah, all obligations transfer then to the city, including the escrow.
Okay, so the escrow would switch from Weber County to Plain City.
Yeah, if Plain City becomes the new party for the development agreement.
Whose standards would they have to meet?
It'd have to be theirs.
It would
Yeah, it'd
have
be
to
the original
counties.
development agreement.
Okay.
We would not be able to renegotiate that.
I would assume the warranty periods and everything are the same as us, I hope.
We have a 2-year warranty period, yes.
We only do a year.
Yeah, ours is a year. That's what I worried about. There was gonna be some discrepancies there as we transfer that over, and I don't know. I just want, and it's not in here. I think we need some language in the agreement when we do a little bit of editing here with this other stuff. We need to add some things for the Grove as well, in my opinion. And I would argue that the impact fees from the first set development part should be part of it too, but I probably won't win that battle.
I know as Dan drove through the Grove, you put together a little bit of a punch list. It'd be interesting to see the county inspector's punch list as well to
Yeah.
kind of compare, to see what that person is expecting compared to what Dan has too.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are all public records. We'd be very happy to get our engineers in contact with Dan and
Please,
let them talk.
go ahead.
Dan's gonna.
Sure.
And then real quick, now, is that an HOA? Is that under?
Yes, there is an HOA. I believe.
So now, would there have to be another development agreement put in place for being switched over to City from Weber County?
No, Brandon, you can speak to that.
I'm sorry.
As far as an if there's an HOA, does a new development agreement have to be put in place? Sorry. The question was, if there's an HOA involved, does a new development agreement have to be put in place, or does that all just transfer over to Plain City, as you mentioned previously? And it's, whatever was agreed to by Weber County and the developer now becomes Plain City's obligation.
Yeah, and this is assuming that the contract that the county has made has a succession clause, which most of them have as boilerplate language, some sort of successor and assignees provision, which just says all of the obligations made here passes on to whatever the party's successor is going to be. So if Plain City will now be the governing entity over a particular property, then it's a successor of the county. And so if we're talking about HOAs that have been made a party to those agreements, it extends to the HOA as well.
So So does that agreement have that language? Because I haven't
Have
seen.
to make sure it
Yeah,
does.
let's make sure.
We will look at that. Thank you.
The other thing on the ordinance, I wanted to ask Diane or whoever might know, there was, and it might have been the bullet point you're referring to, I don't know if you're talking about the agreement or there was a red bullet point on the zoning. Is the zoning correct on the new ordinance? On the new ordinance, the one that I just sent you. Okay. I just wanted to double check, because there was a comment on the other one, so.
I just need you to understand, the county had it zoned, the Grove is R110, I believe.
Yeah,
We don't have
An R110.
equivalent to that. The closest we have is R111.
right. And that's what I think I noticed, so.
Essentially, it'll create,
10,000 square foot lots. Yeah.
it will essentially create non-conforming lots, which the city really can't do anything about unless
It's
new
already-
development is proposed.
Well, is there any
It's supposed to be
zone?
zoned.
Isn't that the rest of that? There's nothing else zoned? Is it just the Grove that's already approved? So there's probably no other zoning
There's no other,
in the, what'd you say, R11?
R1.
All right. Mo- In the county area that we're annexing? So we wouldn't have to worry about it?
Yeah, it's already developed out.
Right.
So,
That's what I was asking.
right.
Thank you.
okay, so it looks like we got some drawing to do.
Yes.
Literally and
Figuratively.
literally. So,
What would be good is to have a list of whatever changes are requested in the agreement so that the county can address those items.
yeah, we'll get those over to you tomorrow.
Perfect.
If you can funnel them through me if you'd like as well, send the agreements that you'd like to propose, and I'll work with the county attorney.
Yeah.
to make sure we get the proper language.
That would be great.
Then I wish we could pass it with what's there, but it's just a little too vague. So, any other questions or discussion?
Did we get a list?
There, that bit, at that little,
Say that again?
is that little piece at the bottom, is that what we need to?
I still need to hear you. Bond?
Diane, did we have a list of all those things that we talked about?
Are you talking about the boxes and everything?
That we don't want?
Okay,
Okay.
Oh.
yeah,
Okay, I'll get with Brandon tomorrow.
that works. What's the question?
I don't know if I understand. This
Okay.
right-of-way that the county has not,
Sorry, what are you
that
asking?
the county has not procured yet, there on the east side
Oh,
of
I don't know.
22. Discuss that.
What east side?
I thought, on the east side, right up against the subdivision, or just
It's on
past
the west
subdivision.
end that we haven't, there's just the one property
Correct.
on the west end,
On the
southwest.
west end of 2200.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's Mr. Molding's.
okay.
That's one we're
okay.
gonna have to take,
Yeah.
probably. more than-
Yeah, all the other right-of-way has been acquired.
Correct. County has already
Is
done
that what you were asking? Sorry, okay.
I wasn't sure about that.
Understood.
Okay.
Okay,
That'll be fully reimbursed,
yeah,
as long as we don't have some
Okay.
bat crazy
yeah,
attorney.
of course.
Maybe, yeah, they like to drag things out, they make more money that way, right? Huh, Brandon?
Not me.
That was, I put that nice.
Not this.
All right. So
You want me
let's
to table it?
probably table would be the right idea, I think, here.
Table, but send over the improvements that Dan is gonna draw up for us to the county for them to then
Yep.
And
I'm
the
writing about the development.
language for the Grove,
Grove.
finding out about the HOA language,
Yeah.
Yeah.
zoning's good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, then I'll move to table the, let's see, the resolution to approve the interlocal agreement with Weber County regarding road improvements for 2200.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. We'll get working with you, bud. Thanks for all your work on this. Councilman-elect.
Oh, really? I didn't.
He's looking at.
I didn't know.
All right, next is
Follow
resolution.
you.
Oh, wait, we just did that one.
Ordinance.
Man, I need to start checking things off. At least I didn't skip something yet.
There you
We
go.
still got time. All right, the ordinance to annex certain parcels within Weber County.
Until that interlocal agreement's done, I kind of want to table that.
Yep.
So I will table the ordinance to annex certain parcels within Weber County.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, perfect. Transfer station is still on here. I sent everybody an email.
We're gonna table that too.
We're gonna table this one too. We've got a new draft coming from the county transfer station on that. So we'll wait to see that. Looks like we probably won't see that till the first of the year. Sean? Okay. So, I think we know what to do on this one.
Yeah.
Table the transfer station contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 See all this stuff I'm giving you, Mayor-elect?
Your agenda's
You're
full
so
in
welcome.
January.
And we're skipping a meeting in December. Oh, do we,
That's on the
No,
agenda.
that's
It's on
the
here
agenda.
later.
okay, it's on there. Whew. Diane never misses those ones. All right, we have got a report on football season. Colette?
I'm not really sure what you want. I can tell you what happened, how it went down. I mean, how many teams we had.
We want team records, we want,
Okay, I got it all, stats right here.
I'm sure you do.
No.
No, just kind of a financial update and everything. I know we'll see it on the budget, but just kind of,
Okay, I don't have the financials. I can tell you how many teams we had.
Perfect.
That kind of stuff. So we ended up with, I'll do flag and tackle.
Yeah.
Okay, so for tackle football, we had 7 teams. About 150 players, about 30 coaches. We had a really great season. The teams did really well. We didn't get any mini bowls this year. Last year we got 2. This year we didn't get any, but we had more teams make it to the playoffs this year and make it further into the playoffs, but didn't come out with the wins at the end. It seemed like it was people loved it. They had fun. It's competitive.
It's packed.
It's packed always on Saturdays here.
I drive by and think, oh my gosh, we need a bigger parking lot.
Yeah, exactly, right? The other cities always seem to come over to me after the games and tell me how much fun it is to come play at our park. So overall, it seemed like a great season. Our flag football season, we run 4 fields. We run a field at Pioneer, Town Square, and 2 here at Leotson. We had 36 teams. And we don't combine with anyone else. That's everyone that just signed up within our city registrations. They may not be in our city, but I know a lot of Far West signs up here. And they don't even sign up in Far West anymore, but we charge a $5 out-of-city fee, so they still come.
So for flag football, you said 36 teams?
36 teams.
What's the age?
How many
age?
people?
Each team
Kids.
has about 11 kids on it.
Okay. Good.
wow.
And it's co-ed, so we had a lot more girls play this year.
What was the age for that?
We do a kindergarten league up through 5th and 6th, and we had 1 junior high team, and we combined with West Haven and Roy for that one.
I had nephews from Syracuse. They used to come, their teams would play here, and they said our fields were the best.
For football, I hear that a lot. They really like it. The upkeep of the field for the Parks guys, they do a great job. And then we always like to throw a party here, so.
And you've had all your parties, all your pizza parties are done, team parties?
Yep, everything's done. All of our banquets downstairs. Yep, Rachel, the senior center is available again now, at least not taken by Colette.
Colette had it every night for like, a month. Hey, do any of your teams still go down to?
No, I don't even know if they do that anymore.
I
know
don't
exactly what
either.
you're talking about, but I can't remember what it's
No.
called. We used to send teams
Pigskin
down there.
tournament.
Yeah, in Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of died, and no teams go down there
Was
anymore.
that through the WFFL?
No, they did it individually,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
but there's just so many things now that they move on to.
Oh, my kid did it. I know
Yeah,
Mayor-elect's kid did it, but then
yeah. Yeah, we did that the first couple of years when I was,
Jason doesn't want me to call him old, but
What's the next sport?
the next sport, well, we're already in it.
basketball.
Basketball is right now, the first session for girls and the littles is just wrapping up in the next week or so. And then we'll move into boys basketball in January, and then we'll have volleyball the week after that ends. And then we'll roll back into spring sports again.
Awesome.
Awesome. Sounds like things are cooking. You had a whole 3-week break.
No,
sport.
0-week break.
There's a break.
Overlapping.
I think she had Thanksgiving off, maybe. Nope.
We had her working on something else.
All right, any questions for Colette
No.
about?
But thank you.
Okay, and I think I'm
Thank you.
on the next thing too.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mark,
Yep.
set, go.
Okay,
I guess I should bring it up.
yeah.
All right, so we've had our report. The next item is the Plain City 4th of July theme.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay. Hold your breath, no, just kidding.
We don't
I was gonna give you a fake one, but I decided I might not.
We're not gonna part the curtains for the reveal.
I was hoping for at
If
least
this meeting would have been after the Christmas tree lighting, then we could have done the production, but.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So our theme for this year, or our proposed theme for this year is It's America, These Are My People. And it's significant to our entertainment this year. Those are the title of 2 of his songs that I'm pretty sure he'll be performing out here, so. Hopefully we'll get that approved so we can continue to move forward and get rolling on all of our advertising and all that stuff we gotta get into place, so.
Got my vote.
Did we,
Not that mine matters.
did we approve someone? Did I miss that meeting?
no, as far as a theme.
No, I mean, who we're approving for a performer.
Are you ready to announce that?
No.
We really don't want to because we don't want everyone and their dog here. We want it to be our community event. If other people come, great, but you know those wonderful, lovely people last year that joined us.
Hello, friends?
Yes.
You don't like dogs here or what?
No, they weren't dogs.
She just said everybody and their dog.
Yeah, everybody on their dogs. So.
Don't blame the dogs.
Yeah, the dogs are innocent.
I don't know. We can I mean, you guys should know. You guys
No.
voted for it in a meeting.
We know.
You got it approved.
What, did I miss that meeting?
No.
Yeah, it was just after the meeting.
Just
but,
ask for an amount.
yeah.
Is what we asked.
And then we went after, and we did have to, word?
Negotiate.
Negotiate. We did do some negotiating. They came in higher, and I said, thanks, but no thanks, and so, then they agreed, so we have locked in and signed the contract.
Could you maybe
Go with that
text me later? Cause
What's that?
Could you maybe text me who it is later? Because no one's told me.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a secret.
Surprise.
Okay,
Just like my Dicker and negotiation.
I can't even remember, and
Surprise.
I've been told twice.
It's that big of a surprise for you?
I just tell
And
you.
if anybody's wondering, I've been playing the music at the ball games to try to get people to know the songs, subliminally getting them ready and prepared for the concert.
Okay.
Well,
Awesome,
if they
awesome.
don't get it from that, they shouldn't attend, right? If you can't get who it is from your songs, they shouldn't
Yeah.
be allowed to come.
Right?
That there's gonna be a quiz.
Yeah, like,
Tell me the theme one more
Hey.
time.
We'll have a test at the
Say
gate.
the theme one more time.
It's America, these are my people.
These are I put my people. Gotcha.
And if you know those songs, you'll know who the singer is.
Well, I'll Google
I
it when I
guess.
get home.
So we're good on the theme then?
yep.
I motion to accept the theme.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Right on, there you go.
And do I have to do the next thing too?
Yeah, you may as well.
So officially,
Next
Diane,
item on the
yep.
agenda is a resolution supporting America 250 Utah.
so
Take it away.
Rachel, do you want to help out with it? Rachel kind of started it. I kind of took it over because I am over the 4th of July and we already kind of have a committee and stuff. But Rachel, do you want to give them the gist of?
So,
Of what-
because next year is the 250th birthday of the United States of America, there is a coalition within Utah. They are giving every municipality that applies a $1,500 stipend to apply to their 4th of July celebration. But it has to involve some sort of activity that you apply the money to. What activity did you guys put into your application?
We're still working on the application. We were gonna get the resolution done first
Because we
right
do
away.
have to have the resolution, but part of the application that has to be submitted by the end of the year.
Yes. We're hoping, we're meeting next week to finalize
Okay,
that.
and I did want to do an addendum to the attachment A of the Utah 250 Community Committee to include Councilwoman Wilson because she is part of the grant
Yep, that's fine.
for the council members. Me, because I am in contact with Chris Abbott, who's in charge of the whole program. And then Mayor-elect Phil Myers said that he would like to be on it, but we don't know how involved throughout the year he's gonna be. I do know that your normal 4th of July committee is gonna be separate from this little grant piece, but I would love to be involved in this 250th anniversary, so use me. I want to be part of your committee this year.
Yep, we'll add you on there.
So just an addendum to the attachment A, but for this, we just have to read the resolution, and then I'll be at your committee meeting next week to help.
And I've reached out to them also to find out information and to get rolling too, so.
Yep.
Yep.
But all we have to do is submit this and the idea and that W-9?
Yes, and we have to give them more details of what we're doing, and then starting the beginning of next year, we have to stay in touch with them once a month at least on what our progress is and stuff like that, so.
And I have an entire social media package that they'd like us to start utilizing within our official Facebook social media pages and our website if possible.
Which includes that thing that we filled out to use their logo. Inside joke for some people.
But do you want to read the resolution, or I think it had to be read up here?
I don't know, you can read it,
How did
Diane
we
got it ready
choose?
for us.
She, I think, added everyone that's been on her go-to list that helps her every single year.
Well, not really, but people who are already helping
Yeah.
with the celebration are on the committee, just to make it easier.
Yeah.
And they're already involved, so.
And then just adding the 3 additional people, because again, she's usually in charge of grants, unless the mayor-elect decides to switch things up next year. And then I'm supposed to be in charge of social media, and then we already have
Is there a
Colette
resolution?
doing everything. So, we had to read the resolution. It says, "A resolution supporting America 250 Utah recognizing and approving Plain City Utah 250 Community Committee. Whereas the City of Plain City, Huron City, is a municipal corporation duly organized, existing under the laws of the state of Utah. Whereas the City Council finds it is in conformance with the provisions of UCA 10-3-717, the governing body of the city may exercise all administrative powers by resolutions, and whereas Governor Spencer J. Cox and the Utah State Legislature created America 270 Utah Commission, also known as America 250 Utah, whereas the mission of America 250 Utah is to commemorate and celebrate, reflect on our nation's past, building community, and look forward to the future by educating, engaging, and uniting Utahns and visitors to our state. Whereas America 250 Utah is seeking partnerships with counties and municipalities to further its mission. Whereas this partnership will be formed by creating a local committee called the Plain City Utah 250 Community, will focus on important events, people, and places within Plain City to commemorate and celebrate Plain City's role in America's 250th anniversary. And whereas local projects will enhance tourism, community building, and economic development opportunities. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of Plain City, Utah hereby recognizes the Plain City Utah 250 Community Committee as its official committee. See Attachment A for members of the committee. Will partner with America 250 Utah, will support signature programs of America 250 Utah Commission, and will support the Plain City Utah 250 Community Committee in its local efforts to educate, engage, and unify Utahns and our visitors in Plain City. The attachment showing the community committee is Colette Doxey, Jennifer Mickelson, Leslie Wentz, Mary Spiegel, Aaron Olm, Jody Peterson, with the addition of Jen Wilson, Rachel Beal, and Phil Meyer. Yes. All that legalese.
Let it be read, let it be
Here,
said.
have some water.
I'll take
Do
my
we
Coke.
have, any discussion? How about a motion?
I will make a motion to pass the resolution number 2025-06, supporting America 250 Utah and Colette Doxley's amazing work and everything she's going to do for the 4th of July.
Second.
And one plug really fast, since that is the end of my standing here. Make sure you all make it out to our Christmas tree lighting on Saturday, 5 to 7. Parade will start at 5. If you need to leave early, we're lighting the tree at 6, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for everything you do, Colette.
Yep.
Yes.
Thanks. You sure keep the city fun. Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Should we cancel December 18th meeting
No, wait, Diane's not even listening.
and January 1st?
Yes.
Let's wait for Diane.
I move that we cancel December 18th and January 1st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I think that was unanimous. All right, motion to approve business licenses. Did I see any?
No.
How come I
No?
can't? No. Oh, good.
right, none of
Check.
them.
None of that. Perfect.
Did I see a bill pay register?
What are those?
Young Ford, Dan. Fleet. Parks Fleet for almost 5,000. What's that? Is that repairs?
It's only 10 days.
On what?
Well, then there's.
Parks Fleet?
That's what it says. Young Ford of Ogden.
What's that?
Young Ford of Ogden.
Gone till
Oh, yes, we had to take the 550 in, and it had a leak on the turbo, so, yeah. And unfortunately, the cost kept going up. They had it and
next meeting.
kept finding more things wrong with it, so that's our sander and our plow 550,
What year is it?
19. Yeah, yeah, the turbo went out on it, so, but, yeah, they had to take it over to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, discussions?
No.
How about a motion?
I move to approve paying the warrant register for 11/20/2025 to 11/30/2025.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Thank you. All right. Well, I think I probably ought to start this here in a second. I'm not good at speeches, never have been. You guys will hear me one more time. Well, maybe twice.
Twice.
If you come to the Christmas tree lighting.
1,000.
I'll be thanking the staff probably 3 more times, but the last 8 years has been amazing. It's been stressful. It's been probably the most educational period of my life. I came into this office with no experience, no city council, no planning commission, and I probably read more in the first 2 years of my 8 here than I've ever read in my life. It was constant education, from development to just how the city works and how Diane does everything she does, and how Public Works does everything they do, and how it's all directed. And I can't thank the directors enough for achieving one of my main goals, and that was to prove, which they've already been doing this, but I wanted to prove that cities can function on what we get, and we can save money. And I don't know the exact number. I know it's over $5 million that we've saved in the last 8 years that we have either in unappropriated funds or our capital projects or any of the other ones. Dan has been amazing at getting grants. I can't remember the last number. I think he told me was, what, 18 million or something in grants that you've.
Close to 16.
Yeah.
close to 16 in grants in the last 8 years. We've had tons of road projects and our sewer project that was completed that had been on paper for, I think, at least 10, 12 years, but we got that finally completed with the lift station and moving forward there. One of my other goals was to get our sewer plant back to running 100% efficient, and we've done that. We're sitting at about 50% capacity. I think we're about 40 a couple of years ago, and I think we're probably somewhere around 50 now. We still have room to grow there. We still have options there. It's amazing to see when people are focused on a project, how those come together and happen. So to the directors and all of the staff behind them, a huge thank you and a huge shout out on behalf of me and the council for completing projects and showing that we can do things on budget and still save money. My biggest fans showed up tonight. They may have missed 2 or 3 meetings in 8 years. I get a text from my mother every Thursday night after council, and it's pretty awesome to get that. And so, thanks to my biggest fans. Love ya. Of course, you can't do it without support of family. Understanding is a lot of it. Knowing that your time is not their time anymore. I think Gage was, he was in high school when I started. He's 23 now, so back, 15 years old. And about the first month in, he decided to tell his teacher that he didn't have to do that because his dad was the mayor. That did not go over well at home.
Okay, that's probably the funniest thing I've heard.
But that's my Gage. And so, started with one grandchild, and I now have 7. Got a picture of her when I got sworn in. I was holding little Allie she was almost 2. No, she just turned 2. And so, yeah, and Dad swore me in, and yes, I did use that a couple times. Thank you, Dad. Actually, I didn't have to because they all knew me. They just saw Beasley on the driver's license, and it was,
Oh, yeah.
are you his? Yes. So anyway, let's see, I've covered staff. The councils that I've worked with over the last 8 years, thank you so much. Mayor-elect, you're getting a good council. You have good people to work with. They do their homework, they're into it. So use your counsel, and I just can't say enough about the residents. 99.9% of the people are just, they're good, they're happy, and the 1% or whatever percent that is that I've had to work with through different things. I've shown up to fist fights. I've been called the fist fights. I've been called the horse manure getting stacked next to the shared fence. It's just tons and tons of things that pop up, and you get those phone calls, and you'll see. The council never sees these ones, right? And so
I get to work with the 1%ers all the time.
you do. You do. All right, you see it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And so it's just been that education of learning the ordinances and what you have to tell people, and a lot of times it's not what they want to hear, isn't that right? So anyway, a huge thanks to everybody, the residents especially. I remember my first year in the 4th of July parade. It was everything I could do to keep a straight face right after I pulled out of Fremont, and everybody's yelling hello and bidding their support for me, and it was just awesome. And so to the residents, thank you. Keep supporting our events. Colette works her guts out to make these awesome. Our 4th of July is second to none in the country, and this one's going to be big. So 250 years of our nation. Come out and support. I will be attending with a big old grin on my face. No stress. So think that's about it. If I forgot somebody, I'm sure I'll catch them down the road, but thank you, council. It's been a pleasure. We're not quite done yet. We got a couple more things that, to do together, but, thank you, and I'll pass it off to the end down there. Councilman?
Well, with that said, let's give a round of applause. Really, all I have tonight is to thank the mayor. It's been 2 years for me. We've been up, we've been down, we've had our disagreements, but at the end, we always talk it out, and we find ways to work through it, because that's what we have to do as a council, and that goes between any one of us as colleagues. But I've really appreciated it. I just don't know what size of a shield you're gonna need this year when Jed and I get you back for throwing candy at us last year at the 4th of July. Maybe I shouldn't have warned you, but you might get a tarp or something, I don't know, but it's been a pleasure. Thank you for everything you do. Something, trust me, you're gonna need it, but, yeah, so it's not an easy job. You talked about a lot of things, and we don't see the half of it. I understand that in the line of work I do every day, and Luigi understands that for sure too, but it's something that needs to happen, and I appreciate people that'll do it for sure, so. Thank you.
Councilwoman Bill?
Well, we've definitely butted heads. We're both strong personalities.
Couple times?
Just a few times. But if we're not butting heads, then we're not talking, right?
100%.
So, may not always agree, but we 100% care about the residents, and we're always working together to do what's best for them, so.
And we agreed a lot more times than
We
disagreed.
definitely agreed more times than we disagreed. And it was always for the best of the community. And I'm gonna miss having those discussions with you. They were fun.
Yes, we've had fun.
We had fun, and I'm gonna miss being up there on the float with you, throwing candy out at the residents. Maybe the candy will last a little bit longer without you up there. Oh, depends how much the mayor-elect's hands are, but.
Big Paul.
So.
Bill's got a strong arm.
But I'll miss you.
Thank you.
I am gonna miss you. So, but good luck with what you do in the future. Become mayor of the next city, and then the next city, and then the next city.
With you on that.
But, you know, just because you choose not to be mayor doesn't mean you can't help Colette with the 4th of July. We need volunteers.
Oh, I've
We
already
always need
volunteered.
volunteers.
I need front row seats again. I gotta volunteer. I was gonna ask that the council, former councils and former mayors be allotted the front row Joe seats, but I thought that would look a little selfish.
Well, you know, she needs help running the parades and the raffle. You've got that booming voice, so you can always announce the raffle.
I am allowed now.
And now that we've officially read the resolution, we've also got the America 250 has a coin contest for Weber County. And I thought all of the youth can go and submit coin contest. They do a 3D printed coin, and if you're the selected winner, they're going to put it out throughout all of the state of Utah. So
Cool.
that was something I've been holding on to until we read that resolution.
Thank you. Welcome back. Councilman Panunzio.
Well, it's my turn.
Yep, let's go.
Well, I don't have anything to report, but I just want to say it's been great working with you. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Mayor. So we were over at baseball game one day, and we were talking, and he says, "Hey, we got a seat open. You should run." And I says, "I don't know anything about city council, nothing. Never thought about it before, ever. And that's why I'm here, and I've enjoyed it. That's why I ran again. I still have a lot to learn, but I have you to thank, so thank you."
You're welcome, and thank you.
I also
Councilmember
have
Wilson.
nothing to report. That was good. But it was nice to have an old Plain Cityite with me here when I got here, so you could, show me the ropes. It's, again, I think we've all had our disagreements, but by far we did agree more than we didn't. It's been fun.
Well, and I love that everybody up here, we've worked everything out.
Absolutely.
There's never been a end of conversation that was just, you're
Done.
a jerk,
Yeah.
I'm a jerk, and we never spoke again, right?
Right.
That's what I appreciate.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was definitely friends that we left
Yes.
most of the time. No.
most of the time.
Okay, I was just wondering if you were listening. I was just listening.
We're still here,
Thanks,
Jan. I
Mayor.
hope you're not just talking about John or.
Well, thank you. Anything else?
No, thanks.
Councilman Jenkins.
I also have nothing to report, but I will say, just like Luigi, I'm here because of John. And I will say that John and I, our friendship has gone back many, many years before I decided to even run the first time. We've been friends for a long time. Matter of fact, our parents know each other. Our families go way back. Same with Mayor-elect. Our families go way back, so I'm looking forward to working with you, but it's been a joy being your right-hand man the last couple of years. It's been amazing, learned a ton. Like you, I've also learned more than I ever thought I would here, so thank you for what you've done. It's evident that when you go out in public at the 4th of July or wherever we're at, the citizens love you. It's been great. You've done very well for the city, and I appreciate everything you've done. I love being your right-hand man here. It's been great.
Well, again, I've appreciated everybody in this room. I didn't thank Planning Commission, you're part of staff, just so you know. But they got an extra load thrown on them with being land use authority. And they've done a good job.
Excelled.
There's a ton to learn in that business, and they're all digging in and doing it. So thank you all so much, and we'll catch you on the flip-flop. Let's have one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
I'm gonna go home.
We're in trouble.
I can't make it.
Random, I just.
Tell me when it is again.
Monday?
You know, I just tipped it and it went.
It's on a Monday, right?
Weird.
Yeah, it will be.
We were not.
From the 18th.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'll be there.